Assalamu alaikum everyone and good afternoon. For people who don't know me, my name is Mona Al-Musli. I'm a co-founder and managing director of PRA Consultancy. First of all, I would like to thank you all for joining our webinar, and I would like to have a special thank for Cosmotrace and their expertise being on board with us. At this stage of transferring and the new phase that we are coming in with all the threats and challenges happening with the track and trace and Tatmeen, I think we need an expert in the market to tell us, each of us, how can go with the further requirements and the further registrations. If you are a manufacturer or a MAH or a distributor or maybe an affiliate that you need to register, just to make sure that we are aligned with Tatmeen project. And of course, a big thanks for Ministry of Health of UAE that they are supporting their people who's living in UAE, no matter they are where, coming from where, to help them to have a better safety and effectiveness of medicines and healthcare products in the region. And this is phase one with pharma product. I believe in a few months we will be having phase two for medical devices and phase three for cosmetics and supplements. So enjoy this webinar. Keep your questions till the end. We will be answering all your inquiries and questions and clarify things. And then we can also support you on implementing what we have to implement to a further and better outcomes. Hello again, Mr. Jaweed. Thank you for joining, and Mr. Zishan as well.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Pleasure, and the floor is yours. You can share your screen.
Yeah, so I'll start sharing my screen. Give me a minute.
Please.
Yeah. Okay, so just let me know when my screen is visible. Yeah, we can see your screen, Javed.
Yes, we can see.
Full screen and go to the first slide, I think. Yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah, okay. So I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I'm Mohammad Javed and I'm the director at Cosmotrace. I have been into traceability, track and trace and serialization, laser focused on life sciences company for the past 8-9 years. I have worked with companies like TraceLink. Now I'm here with Cosmotrace. With me is Mr. Zishan Ahmed, who is the founder and CEO of a company. He works out of our UK office. UK is our headquarters. So what I'll do, I'll pass on the floor to Zishan, to just give brief intro about who we are as a company and what we do. Over to you. Yeah, thank you. If you can go to the next slide. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and very good afternoon to everyone in Dubai. So I'm Zishan Ahmed. I'm the founder and chief executive for Cosmotrace. So we are a serialization consulting and implementation company, and we have been working in life sciences and traceability for a number of years. We have worked with a number of big pharma companies, and we have supported companies back in Europe during all the Europe FMD, Russia serialization, US we are doing it, and a number of other countries where the regulations are in place. Now we have expanded our base to UAE as well, and we are working with our partners in UAE to support them with the UAE implementation. Now the timelines and what we have seen in the market right now is, again, there are a number of questions around regulations. There are a number of questions around implementation, right? So this is where we are basically helping our clients. And especially what we see is there are a number of technical meetings, but clients tend to not gather that because it's a new language. And serialization being very new, especially in the UAE, it is difficult for people to understand what the language is, what the requirements are, what are the different events that each party needs to send it to Tatmeen, right? So it becomes difficult. And because we come from that background, we have lived and breathed traceability and serialization for a number of major pharma companies and in different regulations for different countries. We understand that. And that is where we act as Cosmotrace as a company to
help and support companies in the UAE. So just a very quick introduction. We have been we were established back in 2018. We have a number of years of serialization experience within our team, and we have managed a number of projects for 35 plus countries. We have all the customers 100% retention, and again, where you have to implement your serialization system, if you have any or you're planning to, we have implemented almost majority of serialization system across the globe for our partners, be it any of the big players or be it even the mid and small size players. So that is a little introduction about us. And the whole agenda for this meeting would be to basically go through a brief about regulation, then talk about the different events that needs to be sent, and also talk about how we can help and answer your questions wherever we can. And I'm conscious that the deadline is just like a week away, so we haven't got much time. But I think what we are seeing is the deadline is there to stay. So we have to get started and complete. Again, if we are a little out as well, we will need to be fully compliant with the decree and the regulation. So like Dr. Mona said, we will park the questions for the end. Raise your hand, put your questions there. We will try and answer after we finish our presentation. Okay, thank you so much. So Javed, over to you. You can start off with the presentation. Yeah, and finally, so Dr. Mona, thanks for giving us this opportunity and working with us in helping the UAE market with serialization. Okay, Javed, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zishan. So as Zishan rightly mentioned, the regulations in UAE is quite new, but we have experience implementing regulations in multiple geographies. So starting with USDS ESA, we have implemented the system solutions and help customer run the serialization operation. The same thing we did for Europe. We are currently doing it for Russia, Bahrain, Saudi. Brazil initially it started and then it was sunset. So Brazil is no more alive. And we have been studying about UAE regulations, talking to Tatmeen very closely, Botec very closely. So we have gained some amount of knowledge, which we would like to share it with you, and definitely would like to take your questions and if possible, like to give you an answers. So this is how I have made my presentation flow. Only 3 points I'll be covering today so that we have sufficient time for a Q&A. So with me, we have Mr. Shashank Shekhar, who is the global delivery head for us. He comes from a technical background. So if in case there are any technical questions, definitely he would love to take that up. So I mean, this you guys are very familiar. This is a day in life for you. You have been living with this day in and day out. But just to give you a brief, I just run it through. The participants are whosoever is touching the products, whether they're reporting it, getting the custom clearance done, holding the product in their warehouse, or pushing the product in the supply chain. So anybody touching the products, that's a pharmaceutical unit, and doing some choreography will be part to reporting to Tatmeen. And the prerequisite, I think most of you have already completed registration of your masters in the federal systems like MOHAP, Brand Sync, and finally you got your GLN registered with Tatmeen and got the access. So almost whomsoever I've been speaking has reached and completed the phase 1 of Tatmeen registration. This is something which everybody should know. The serialization, though it is a responsibility of an MAH, distributor or the dispenser should know that the serialization has to be done on the secondary packaging, and these 4 data elements are required. So these are GS1 format. GTIN always comes first when you print the 4 data elements, and the remaining 3 will be below GTIN. So there is no specified sequence, but the GTIN should always be first. That is one. Second challenge is they follow a European method of randomization. So for each unit of serial number, it should be randomized in the ratio of 1:10,000. So this is the randomization requirement is asked by Tatmeen. So if from the audiences, if in case there is any MAH, they should take bear this in mind, then when they generate the serial number for their pharmaceutical unit, the randomization has to be in this ratio. So your solution or system should have that kind of algorithm to randomize it in this ratio. Aggregation is mandatory for those who disaggregate and re-aggregate. But for manufacturer, they have to submit the product in UAE in an aggregated format, and at least 2 levels of aggregation is asked by Tatmin. You can do up to 3 levels, 4 levels of aggregation, but minimum 2 levels has to be done, and report has to be submitted to Tatmin. If you are a manufacturer, you get an aggregated product, you put it in your warehouse, and then you pack it as per the order, and you put it in an aggregated parent-child aggregation. Then you have to generate your own SACC and report to Tatmin that you have aggregated this pack with this SACC. So it's not compulsory for you, it's optional for you. If you want to aggregate, you report it. If you don't aggregate, you don't report it. But for a manufacturer, it's compulsory for him to do the aggregation and send the products for custom clearance.
Mr. Javid, if you allow me to, if you can explain for us what is aggregation. Many people might not know till now what is aggregation.
Okay, I'll just come on the last slide.
Thank you.
So
it's okay. If it is there later on, then it's fine. Just
no, yeah. I was expecting this question, so I've kept this slide as a backup slide. So aggregation is, we call in colloquially in supply chain, it is called parent to child aggregation. So what you see down below is a pallet. We call it as a parent, and this parent will hold certain shippers or case, and this shipper or case will hold certain number of secondary units. So this becomes parent to child aggregation. If I go from here, so say for example, you have got certain saleable units. Say for example, 10 saleable units will go into a case, and 10 such cases will go into a shipper, and 10 such shippers will go into a pallet. I am just giving 10 as an example. It could be number of your choice or per your order. So this becomes your parent to child aggregation. So when this final unit is made, you have to print an SACC code, a barcode, and a SACC number, and put it on the top. And this barcode should contain all the child serial numbers that are there in this pallet. So if I receive a good, I scan this SACC, and on my system, it displays the entire child serial numbers that are there under the SACC. So you need not scan each and every unit in the pallet to report it to Tatmin. You can just scan one, you get all the numbers, and you prepare a report and send it to Tatmin. So you all will be receiving this pallet now in your warehouse, and this pallet will consist this SACC barcode. Your system should be able to read this barcode, connect with Tatmin, take the data from Tatmin, whatever serial numbers are there under this SACC, prepare a report, and submit a report called initial receipt. That's an event that you have to report. I'll come to that in more details, but this is what the aggregation is. So once you receive this pallet in your warehouse, you disaggregate it, put this case and secondary in the rack, and as per the order, you pack it, repack it, and you sell. So if you are selling this single sellable unit, so you are not aggregating. So you need not print this SACC code and aggregate and report. But if you are selling these goods to your buyer in a pallet format, which contains number of case or shipper and number of secondary units, then you are performing an aggregation on your sellable units. So you have to print this SACC. So it's an optional. If you want to avoid aggregation, sell single units. You need not submit an aggregation report. But if your buyer insists, boss, once I take the goods in my possession, in my pharmacy, I will not scan each single unit. You please aggregate and give me the unit. So it's a trade requirement. It's a trade compulsion for you. But for manufacturer, it's a compliance compulsion to do aggregation.
Thank you very much, Zoid. So it's a kind of bundling the things to get less steps to go further.
Yes.
Thank
so
you.
if I'm a pharmacy, say for example, if I'm a pharmacy called Life Care Pharmacy, and I'm buying from my distributor, and I buy, my invoice is quite heavy. I buy, say for example, 100 units, 200 units in single invoice. So he would say that I will not take those 100 units and scan each unit to prepare a receipt, event, and report. He say, give me in a pallet or a shipper format, put the SACC, I'll scan only SACC, and the SACC will tell me how many serial numbers are there. So it becomes, life becomes easy for him. So
Okay.
these kind of scenarios you will get, because these kind of scenarios we got while we were doing work in Europe. So it became a trade requirement, not a compliance requirement. Okay. So as you rightly said, there are certain products that are exempted from serialization, but phase wise, Tatmin will put these products under the regulations. So I'll just put this here for some time. So the very first step, that the initiation point for anybody in the supply chain to comply to Tatmin is that they need to obtain a shipping import permit. So the responsibility to get a shipping import permit is with the MAH who owns the product, but he can pass on the responsibility to his agent or the distributor. And this shipping import permit is related to a GTIN. That means if you have managing 10 GTINs, then you will have 10 different shipping import permit, and each permit is linked to a number. So if you are importing 1 lakh units and the shipping import permit is of 1 lakh, then it is good, but it can't go beyond 1 lakh. So you have to import those number of products that shipping import permit is allowing you to do that. That is one. Then the manufacturer, when he manufactures the products, so he has to commission those serial numbers, pack it and ship it. So it becomes his responsibility. He has to execute it and he has to report it. Goods, when comes to UAE, so ownership of these goods will remain with MAH, but the execution is done by the wholesale distributor, and the wholesale distributor has to prepare the report and send. Then import clearance, custom clearance, though it remains MA's responsibility, the execution is done by the customs officials and they submit the report. When you ship the goods or receive the goods, it becomes your responsibility to make the reports. So these are the roles and responsibilities of the supply chain entities who will be participating in managing the pharmaceutical supply chain in UAE. I'll try to explain it in a more diagrammatic format in my next slide, but just to give you a tabular view of who will be the owner of the product and who will be the owner of the activity and what activity they have to do. So hope this is clear. You can post a question on this slide. I'll be happy to answer your questions. So any product that is arriving in UAE free trade zone, products are meant to be sold in UAE market, then those products will also come under the regulation. Then another question I have been getting from the market is about the unregistered product. So Tatmin has made it very clear whether the product is registered or unregistered will have to be reported to Tatmin. Whatever activity they are doing with registered products has to be done with unregistered products. That means you have to put the masters in the federal systems. You have to get a GLN for that. You have to prepare the shipment report. Any activity that you are doing on registered, same applies with unregistered as well. So this is how the a physical shipment as well as the serialization shipment moves. Am I audible to you people?
Yes, Javed, you are.
Okay. So if you on the left hand side, what you see is the manufacturer's instance, and right hand side, what you see is the distributor's instance. So you will definitely see that the most of the heavy lifting in UAE supply chain is done by the wholesale distributors. So as the physical product moves, there are certain activities that happens on the physical product. So till date, what you have been doing or we have been doing in absence of serialization is we have been doing serialization shipment transactions. Now, along with shipment transaction, there is another transaction that will take place is called serialization transactions. So any activity that is happening on your physical good, those activity will happen on the serial number. So that serial number will carry a status, and that status will keep on change as the activity keeps on changing on the serial number. Say for example, if I am a manufacturer, I get my products manufactured by either by my internal manufacturing site or from a contract manufacturer. So that site will have got a GLN, and that site will be called as a batch releaser. So once I pack those pharmaceutical units, do serialization, commissioning, and aggregation, I send the physical goods to MAH. Along with that, I am sending a file to MAH that will contain the serialization information, commissioning information, and aggregation. That means I will tell an MAH that I have prepared, say for example, a batch of 50,000 units. So these are the 50,000 serial numbers, and I have printed these 50,000 serial numbers. That means I have commissioned those 50,000 serial numbers, and then I have aggregated these serial numbers in this parent to child format. So this is my aggregation hierarchy. These three events he will report it to MAH, and then there will be a logistics company who will be holding the product and supplying the product to MAH. So same activity will be done by this whole 3PL, and that activity will be called a shipment event. So he will say that I am shipping this SSCC code containing these many serial number at this date and time, and this is my location. So from location to location. So he will mention this from location to location. So both these events will have a reference to the shipping import permit number. So I'm spending much time here because once we know the regulation well, and once we know the events that has to be captured, it becomes easy for you to evaluate the serialization system and implement and run the system. Otherwise, there are certain events which you don't know are going to happen, and you install a serialization system, and later you find out that system does not cater to that particular use case. So there are chances that there will be a business impact, your supply chain may not move ahead. So these are the basic events that has to be captured for Tatmin, and moving forward, as newer events gets added to Tatmin, it would become very easy for you to understand and implement in your in-house systems. So once the file reaches MAH, this MAH will prepare a comprehensive file that will contain the serialization, commissioning, aggregation information with date and time, the date and time of serialization, commissioning, and aggregation. And the file format which Tatmin is asking for is EPCS 1.2. So this MAH will make a file in EPCS 1.2 and submit it to the Tatmin portal. Okay. Another challenge here is that Tatmin is saying the file size shouldn't be beyond 15 MB. But there is no guidance on what will happen if my file size goes beyond 15 MB. Can I chop the file in 2 or 3 parts, make a proper header and footer so that it looks like from the one single family? So nothing as such has been mentioned by Tatmin. So that's a challenge there. So everybody is trying to keep the batch size minimum so that the file size remains to 15 MB. So once the file comes to Tatmin and Tatmin says, okay, you have submitted the file as per my requirement, the format is good, the data is good, you can go ahead. So it becomes MAH's responsibility to inform the distributor in UAE saying that my file has been successfully accepted by Tatmin. Now you can take the goods in your physical possession and move it for custom clearance. So as the distributor receives the file and the physical shipment, they will receive only the physical shipment. Distributor will scan the SSCC code, connect with Tatmin, and fire a report called initial receipt of goods. So this is the first event that is fired as soon as the physical goods enters UAE. So this responsibility is for the distributor. So the number should match with the MAH. So what the numbers that you have submitted to Tatmin, whatever you have received and whatever MAH has sent should be equal. Otherwise, there has been some fraudulent activity between the shipment. So this is what is of utmost importance. If this step is not cleared, you will not be able to push the goods for custom clearance, and simultaneously it won't enter your supply chain. Then the goods, once your file is successfully accepted, the customs will do their activity, and you will be moving the goods from your location from the customs location to your location, or you will be doing inter warehouse transfers. So whatever you are transferring, you have to fire a transfer event. And other regular events are like stolen events, certain serial numbers that get stolen, certain serial numbers or the products that get expired comes back to you. You have to send it for destructions. So you fire an event called destruction event. Certain goods which you have sent to pharmacy and they have refused to take and it comes back to you. So you have to fire a receipt event. And all these things are tagged to the location. So if you are transferring the goods from one location to another, then there will be two GLNs mentioned in the file, the from GLN to GLN. If anything that is got stolen from a particular GLN, say for example from your warehouse in Abu Dhabi, so Abu Dhabi warehouse GLN will be used. The destruction site will have their own GLN. If you are getting goods from somewhere, so from location again to location GLNs has to be mentioned. So GLN is very important to track and report the events to Tatmin. But again, the challenge here is that the first event has to be reported before the next event occurs, because every event has got a date and time. So there has to be a chronological order of reporting. Otherwise, you will keep on getting errors. Say, for example, you have sent a goods to a pharmacy at 1:05 p.m. and this pharmacy receives this good at 2:05 p.m. and you forgot to report the event and this guy tries to report. His report will keep on fail. So a chronological order has to be followed and you have to report immediately after the event has occurred at your place. Is it okay? Am I too fast, or you want me to spend some more time and explain it once again?
It's fine, but I have a question, if you don't mind. Is it mandatory to finalize the MAH process and technical part, then to start with the distributor, or they can start parallelly?
No, unless until the first report to Tatmin will be sent by MAH. So the goods that distributor will be receiving, those goods numbers will be submitted by MAH to Tatmin.
This is while importation. This is while importation. No, I'm talking about implementation, the process. Is that while implementation, the whole process to go further, is it that the MAH or the manufacturer have to finalize their steps and then they will go with the distributor, or they can start parallelly and then when the importation come, of course, MAH will do it first from their side?
Yeah, so there are two parts to that. One is fulfilling the requisites can be done parallel, or distributor can done in it way ahead than the MAH. But when you're testing it with Tatmin, so the masters should have been submitted by the MAH first, without which you will not be able to test with Tatmin. Like your partner master, that means the MH GLN location, the GTINs what the MH is going to send. So all those things should be there available in Tatmin for a distributor to do the testing. Sometimes what happens, I have been getting query from our customers UAE that my MH has submitted their GLN correct, but my GLN was incorrect. And I was not able to do the testing because I was not seeing me as a partner to my MH. So you should, before testing, you should look into the masters, verify the masters with your MH, see to it that they have added you as their partner correctly and you have added them as your MH correctly. So it should be like mirror image. Both the sides, the data should be similar.
Since it's a lot of information, do you want to take some questions and then we will go further?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So the first question, it says from Jifan, is our company drugstore is doing a complete Tatmin report on behalf of the manufacturer MAH? Can we use the GLN and do this reporting?
Reporting it's a good question, valid questions, because the reporting is done using the company identifiers and the user access. Okay. If your MAH is giving you their user access, user access credentials, so then you can report it. But are you looking at reporting it in a manual way? Otherwise, if it is B2B, then you should have access to their serialization system.
What about the commission and the pack shipment? And can we do that on the behalf of MAH as a distributor?
Yes, before any custom clearance, if you can store the product, and do it, you can do it.
Okay.
But the issue here, the practical issue here is that if in case the data that the physical products that you get has got insufficient numbers, certain broken, disaggregation, aggregation, anything of that sort exception has happened, then you will have to repack it, reprint it, relabel it. So there is a practical challenge to that, because whatever you will be doing, first you need the proper physical goods in your possession. You need to scan it, prepare a report on your behalf of your MH, log into your MH system and report it. And then push the goods for custom clearance. See, whatever you're doing is you're doing in your office, on your laptop, using the user access credentials.
Got it. Okay. Next one is, what are the hardware required for aggregation as per the GS1?
Yeah. So if this question is from a distributor, then hardware, I would say you will require, number one, a scanner that has the capability of doing parent to child aggregation. So you will need scanners based on the number of stations that you have in your warehouse. Sometimes there are warehouses who has got only 2 stations. One is a receiving station, another is a shipping station. But if you are planning to have an aggregation, then you need to have one more aggregation station in your warehouse connected to a scanner, and you do aggregation preparation there.
Okay, great. Can manufacturer date be added on the serialization data?
Manufacturer what?
Can a manufacturer date added on the serialization data?
Manufacturing date, no. Those are the 4 data elements that has to come on your serialization data. So these 4 data elements will come: your GTIN, serial number, expiry, and lot.
So manufacturer date will not be added.
Manufacturer date will not be added, but the events timestamp will be there. Say, for example, the time when you are transferring these goods. So when you're preparing the report, transfer event report, so this report will be date and time stamped. So your system will have to stamp it with date and time. Then only Tatmin will accept it. So there are data fields which are very important in your reports, and Tatmin will definitely look into it.
Javed, just one addition to what you already mentioned about manufacturing date. So manufacturing date, Tatmin has mentioned as an optional field in the document. However, when you do the manual upload, it became a mandatory field. So depending on the mode of format you're using, you have to choose the manufacturing date accordingly.
Okay. So next question, if importer owns product at the point of receipt at the customs, is manufacturer or importer responsible to report to Tatmin?
Once the importer receives the physical goods, then it becomes the importer who is the distributor who is receiving the goods. Physical goods has to report.
So since the importer get it in as a distributor, they will be responsible on reporting.
Yes.
Okay. If the product at the time of imported is owned by the importer, so this is the same question. Other question: is this activity applicable to tender-driven product as well? I think he means the unregistered products.
Yes, for unregistered products, you have to register them with MOHAP, brand sync, and Tatmin. You have to do all the activities what you are doing on a registered products. You have to do on unregistered products as well.
But sometimes they don't know what is the unregistered product that will be imported. How the authority will go with that?
The serialization will let them know, because yeah.
Okay, so it's case per case then.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this applicable for item that is imported to free zones area as well?
So there are two answers to that. If you are importing the products in your free zone and those products will not be sold in UAE, so then it is not required. But if you are importing into free zone and you want to sell it into UAE, then you'll have to do this activity.
So if they are importing to export, they don't need to register and do.
Yes. Yeah. So most of the time what happens, the goods comes to free zone and then it gets exported to the African countries. So you don't require to do this serialization and other activities.
Isabel is saying, if you need to deaggregate and aggregate again, but just a part of the pallet, do you need to aggregate the whole pallet again, even if you need only a part of it?
No. So whatever invoice you are preparing for a particular buyer and you are aggregating at least 2 level, so you have to prepare a report. So if I get a pallet of 1 lakh units, I am just taking out a part from the pallet and re-aggregating a very small part of it. Then also I'll have to prepare a report.
Okay. Amal, if the manufacturer of or MAH are not going to do serialization for their product, can we do serialization locally and start the reporting from Jabza, the free zone?
That's an operational call. So it's an agreement between your manufacturer and you. How do you want to do it? I have seen practically. I have seen people are planning to send non-label goods to free zones, giving it to a contract packager who will be packaging, serializing, labeling the goods, and then as a domestic supplying it to the distributor. Further, distributor will do all the clearance and reports.
So, but this is applicable to start doing it locally and do not need MAH if they are not willing to do it, right?
Yeah. So it's all to do with their agreement with their MAH.
So it depends on their agreement with MAH.
Yeah.
How the samples taken by MOH or customs or distributor can validate after receiving? How will be the validation process?
Yeah. So customs will have access to Tatmeen. So from your pallet, if they take out 5 units, so they will scan it. They will change the status of those 5 serial numbers as custom samples and put it aside. So all through the life cycle, those 5 units would be always displayed as custom samples and cannot be sold in the market. So that becomes customs responsibility to report those 5 units as custom samples.
Okay.
Or a quality samples.
Okay. As a SPOC, can we do reporting?
What is SVOC?
SPOC, I think supplier. Jivan, are you there? Do you want
SPOC.
to?
Okay. The SPOC. They are talking about SPOC. So
yes.
See, each entity in the supply chain has to appoint one person as the SPOC. That is called single point of contact. And the single point of contact will be a point of contact for Tatmeen. I mean, it's single point of contact means a user ID or a user. So if I am the user, I have the user ID, I'll be doing reporting on behalf of my company.
Okay.
So ideally, this is the scenario that is happening right now.
Okay. We already answered that if you are in a free zone. We already answered. Is there any limitation for the aggregation?
Only 2 levels of aggregation is asked by Tatmeen. Say, for example, if you are putting a secondary unit into a case and a shipper, so that becomes a two levels. But if you have got a larger volume, you can go up to pallet level as well. So minimum 2 level of aggregation is required by Tatmeen.
Okay. Again, as a spoke, we can do a reporting without creating any other sub-users or B2B?
No, only SPOC is allowed to,
What's
report.
the meaning, Javid, of the SPOC?
SPOC is like if you are a distributor and you are registering with Tatmeen, so at that your GLN, so at that time you'll have to give a person's name, credentials as a single point of contact. So if in case Tatmeen has to contact someone from your organization, they will contact the SPOC, SPOC, single point of contact.
Signal point of contact. It's very strange when we say the SPOC. Single point. Now I understand. Yes. Okay. Single point of contact, you mean? So if he is a single point of contact, they can report without creating any sub-users. I think you have to link himself to that entity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You can create sub-users for for testing purpose, for generating a report purpose. So anything you can create a number of users, but mostly anything talking with Tatmin through system is with Spock.
Okay.
Dr. Mona, just a comment here. I'm seeing some interesting questions here from a technical perspective, and from we're having these issues, and I had seen the same questions, a lot of questions back in the meeting which Tatmin had this morning. A lot of technical questions, and I think it's a good example of how to relate Cosmotrace with these questions. So because we come from a implementation and a consulting background, we understand these questions, and this is where we will be your partner to help you go from A to B. So going from doing all these activities to going live, right? So that is a good reference point to say, you're facing all these issues, we're not able to connect. And a lot of questions I have seen in the Tatmin meeting also is like, we are halfway through, and there's few days left. What do we do? And then obviously they have to send an email and get a response back. So I think there's a lot of nervousness there to say, I'm getting close to the deadline, and it is just 13th round the corner, and we are not able to do anything. So that is where we can hold your hand. That is where we say, hey, we can help you with it.
I agree.
So just
you are aware of all the things and the parties plus the technical part. I do agree.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Hira, we already, I think, answered your question stating that if your product is unregistered, how you will register them under Tatmin. So if you know the product and you are aware of what product that you are going to import, then you can do the same. Procedure should follow. If you don't know what product you will be import for the next importation, then you have to discuss with the Ministry of Health, and it's case by case. The other question is, if we are trying to upload more than 10 PM file in staging environment, we are getting below responding body, that it's fold, body, buffering, overflow, error coding, too big body. What do you think?
Yeah, so there is a limitation of a system. So Tatmin is using a system called SAP ATTP. It's a platform. So it's a limitation of the technology which that platform is using. So that's the reason Tatmin has given the file size limitation as 15 MB. But we have seen any file size even beyond 10 MB, the system is not able to process, and it's going to timeout. So try to keep the file size as minimum as possible, because
they can upload more files, but not the bigger size of files.
Not a bigger size of it. But again, Dr. Mona, the challenge here is, if I am having, say, for example, 1 lakh serial numbers in my file, and my file size becomes 20 MB. So if I chop the file into 2 parts, and I upload the first part, and then I upload the second part, Tatmin system will not be able to identify the sequence of the serial numbers, which is the first file, which is the second file. Sometimes what happens once you upload the first file and the second file, if it is of a lesser volume, then it will go first.
Okay.
And the first file will keep on processing.
Okay.
So the sequencing of the serial numbers will go upside down. It would have been okay if each serial number wouldn't have been timestamped, because each serial number has been timestamped when it was generated.
Yes.
And when it was commissioned. So at least there is a gap of friction of second between 2 serial numbers commissioning.
Okay.
Or printing. Not all the printing can happen at one single go. So a chronological sequence will break. So it's a challenge. File size is a challenge. I see you may reduce a file size, do the testing, complete the testing successfully, and you are good to go live. But once you start processing your commercial batches, and then the file size limitations will come. So it will become a good big challenge for you.
I agree. Okay, next question is, please provide a specimen fix file with the level of aggregation B trial system where we can check out our loads.
Okay, they want to, I couldn't get, they want to see a EPCS.
Yes.
So for EPCS, Tatmeen has a guidance document wherein they have given the EPCS template as well as a sample file or a format in which EPCS has to be made. And they have clearly called out how the header of the file would look and how the footer of the file would look and where the shipping import permit has to come. So it's a very clean and clear document for anybody to understand the format of the EPCS file.
Great.
So if you go to Tatmeen onboarding documents, technical documents, you will get it.
Okay. For the manufacturer outside UAE, there is no system to go and linkage the needed. I think they should have a system, right?
Everybody in the supply chain who wants to serialize need to have one or the other system. One good part about Tatmeen is that because the serialization system that are available in the market are mostly built for covering the manufacturer use case. Very few are built for covering the distributed use case, but they are also not covering the entire events. Plus the price what they charge, being a consultant, we have been talking to multiple solution providers. They charge a lot. It's an annual recurring fees and there are variable fees and all. So they charge a lot. So before you investing into any serialization system, you should understand the compliance, number one. Then you should understand your supply chain, how the product moves from your end. You know, sometimes what happens is like you get a batch and you split the batch and you send half batch to your Abu Dhabi warehouse and half batch you send to Ras Al Khaimah warehouse. So accordingly, you have to split. So your system should be able to identify that this particular batch, this particular SCC code, serial numbers have been split into two. So you should have your own URS in place before evaluating the serialization system. And then once you give the URS to serialization system, they will know, boss, I'll have to fulfill these requirements from my customer. And they will be fair enough to, candid enough to tell you that these many things he can cover and these many things he can cover in a next release. Okay.
Just one comment, one more comment to that is what we are seeing, being in the market, talking to so many different companies is if you are choosing a serialization service provider, you have to be very mindful because they will sometimes check all the boxes and say, oh, this is your URS, we would do everything for you. But then you would end up like for the next 3-4 months or 5 months doing a workaround, which will be a manual. So, you need to have that clarity, have that understanding of what is really going to happen now, what is going to happen in 4 months' time. Right. So don't put yourself into a situation where, you find a nice option or maybe somebody's offering you very cheap, but then they'll end up not kind of delivering what you would ask for. So that is something which I wanted to just give as a tip to watch out for.
Yeah, thank you. Next question. What is the manual is there a manual upload option? Can the files be uploaded manually in Tatmeen?
Yeah, so Tatmeen has given a mobile and manual uploads, but the procedure is same what you would be doing for a B2B approach. Like you need to first register your GLN, test your uploads with Tatmeen with certain dummy files. When Tatmeen says, okay, the files that you have submitted are good files, and here is your access to production environment. And once you get the production environment access, you can prepare the file and upload it to Tatmeen. So manual upload, the file formats are different than the B2B upload file formats. Okay. So there is an option, but in that case, when you prepare a file, it's say, for example, any file would be in a CSV or XML format. So once you open the file and you start, putting in the serial numbers that you are reporting, so there are chances that there could be syntax errors. Like it's like a program, HTML programming that you're doing. You put comma, you put a space, front, back, the header is missing. So
And it
it
will
takes
be, I guess, it will be on an Excel format, right?
no, it could be on a .csv format or an
Okay.
EPCS 1.2 format.
So, and the
So
reporting will go through an Excel then?
no,
Also
because
no.
yeah, it won't be, because Excel will
Because
not be able.
we have another question. Saad is saying the reporting will be through uploading the Excel files only. I don't think it will be uploading
No,
Excel.
no.
There will be a systematic thing.
Yeah, because the system there, the Tatmin system, is not built to read those files, Excel files.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
either they will read a CSV file or they will read EPC as 1.2 format file.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so much so that we are saying there is a manual upload option. It is not as straightforward as just putting things into that and just uploading it, like Javed was mentioning, because you need all the formatting. You need to ensure that you have all the fields covering it. For the sake of it, you might go ahead and say the test file is successful, but you will struggle on doing the production. So it is important for you to understand what that file entails, what are the different options, because this is again a lot of people asking the same question about we're stuck. We keep getting these error messages, and the question we saw before as well. So I think
Yeah.
because the language is new, people struggle to understand, right? And that is where I see the difference between IT projects and serialization projects.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Shashank, can you just share your experience, because Shashank is been testing systems for a couple of customers in UAE, and definitely in the initial days he too faced couple of challenges in doing testing with Tatmin. If you can just highlight few bullet points on that.
Please.
Yeah, sure, Javed. Yeah, testing is ongoing with that. We are testing all the different workflows from different perspective, from the perspective of an MAH, from manufacturer, from distributor, and others. And there are various challenges that we have observed. So the first challenge and the first thing that anyone should be doing is to ensure that we have all the information already available with Pransing and Tatmin, because unless that is available, the testing cannot proceed. And then afterwards also, we have to be clear about the entire process that any company is following. So if you fall under distributor scenario, if you fall under manufacturer scenario, it is important to understand how you are exchanging all the data or information with your partners, and also how and when the events that needs to be reported, right? So these are a few things that are important to highlight and deal with initially before you start with testing. And after once you start testing also, you will come across a lot of challenges, but we have done it for a few partners already, and we have created a list of all the errors that we have received and ways to deal with those errors, which will of course help us in dealing with further partners.
Yeah. Thanks,
Great.
Shashank.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah, no problem.
So next question, do we have to serialization the whole carton in one pallet? For example, 40 pallets containing multiple cartons. So each carton having one pack of the tablets, which be serialized?
No, tablet will not be serialized. If I move back to the aggregation, so say for example, these are the bottles, primary units. So the primary units, once they get into a secondary pack, so this secondary pack has to be serialized. If you are having a strip of 10 tablets, so each tablet will not be serialized. So those strip of 10 strips will get into a secondary pack. So this secondary pack will be serialized. Or wherever the MRP is printed, suppose the MRP is printed on the strip, so that becomes a sellable unit, and that unit will be serialized, but not the unit that you consume, like the tablets, as you said.
Okay, I think this is done as well. Um, when you say stolen event, do you mean, what do you mean by the stolen event GLN or other events of GLN?
GLN is not an event, but when you're reporting an event, you have to mention the GLN where that event has happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
So
think
for example,
Priya thought that the GLN is the event. Yeah.
No, GLN is the global location number where that
Yes,
event has happened.
where you have to apply for it.
Yeah.
Another question, can you explain the process from the time we send the import permit, and the MAH is still receiving the goods from their warehouse, partially on Tatmin portal? That will be very helpful. I think one of the slides later will be talking about it, right?
Yeah, no, this slide covers the workflow, how the serialization flow will happen right from the MAH producing the batch, shipping from the warehouse, and then coming to Dubai or UAE, and within the UAE as the product moves across the supply chain. So this is the entire workflow of your physical shipment as well as the events happening on serial. So I think the answer to her question is this.
Okay. Next question. The sales permit is required from MAH or distributor? Distributor.
The sales.
Yes, sales permit. They mean, I think, Dalal, you mean the import.
So the shipment import permit, it's a responsibility of an MAH, and if MAH gives the rights to the distributor to get the permit for that particular GTN, so the distributor or agent can get the permit, but the agent or distributor will have to inform MAH about this permit number. Okay. So most of the times I have seen in UAE, the MAH is saying, boss, you buy the permit on my behalf and please inform me what is the permit number.
I would like to ask one of our people who's attending the webinar, Hira. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Since you are sending a lot of messages, I think it's better to put your question on. Would you like to join? Hira? I don't know if she is answering. So by the time she comes online, let us take another question. Does it apply for vaccines and biologics, since ampoules and vials are any injection do not have a space and put second barcode? We printed only the GTNI, human readable thing.
Yeah. So biologics and any conventional medicine is covered under the regulation. When it comes to the size of the pack, ampoules, so that's the reason they have said, like, okay, you can print the barcode on the secondary unit. So they have given the options. Okay.
Can we do serialization on behalf of MAH locally? We already answered that. We said if you are not, yes, you can. Do pesticides fall under the pharma requirements?
No, as of now, it is not.
Pesticide is under not Ministry of Health in UAE. Pesticide is under MOHAP, Ministry of Climate and Prevention. So they have to register it in a different place. Second question, can you please tell again which kind of scanner agent should have?
Yeah, the scanner which has the capability to read the serial number and help you change the status of the serial number. So there are a lot of barcode scanners in the market. You can evaluate that. And the basic requirement of the scanner is just to scan the serial number, read the serial number, change the status of serial number, and send that report to your central repository from where you will be reporting it to Tatmin.
Is there any actions required if we are purchasing from UAE market to export? I think since the product is in UAE market, you still need to apply on this and be applicable on Tatmin, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Do we need to provide any information to Tatmin to get initial import permit?
No, Tatmin will not give you import permit. You have to take it from ministry.
Okay. Is this, but still, if they are doing an MOH import management, there is nothing to be reported to Tatmin, right?
No, see, reporting to Tatmin is for any serialization activity that is happening. And that activity or the serialization activity report will have a reference to the shipping import permit.
How to get the local sales permit as per the manufacturer inside UAE? It's from the Ministry of Health, right?
I have no clue about that. This comes beyond serialization.
Yes. So after doing the serialization, you should have a user, or before even, as a manufacturer or as an MAA. I don't know if you are talking, Ali, that you have an MAA as a scientific office, or you are only having a marketing office as a MAA. So if you have a scientific office, you will be having a username and password from the ministry, and you will be applying for an import permit. But if you have only a marketing office and not a scientific office, then your distributor have to do this on your behalf. You will not be able to import by your own. Lamia, is this thing about quantity 50,000 can be resolved by Tatmin? I think she's linking to something that we have discussed.
50,000, no, there isn't limit to 50,000. There is a file size limit. So your file that is
will be a lot.
Yeah, if you are putting 50,000 serial numbers in a file and the file size is not crossing 50 and 15 MB, 15, then it is okay. So file size limit is 15 MB.
Okay. Some people are asking if they can have this presentation after the webinar. Anyway, it's recorded and it will be downloaded on our YouTube channel. You can go there and have a look on it. And if you need the presentation, then we will check internally if the management will accept that, and we will let you know. We need a presentation how to use Tatmin portal.
Yeah, so Tatmin has released a video. Yeah, a video of 2-hour video on their portal. So they have explained you step by step on how to use the Tatmin portal, Tatmin mobile app. So then their knowledge center consists of a lot of guidance documents and user training manuals as well.
Yes, I can agree. Can you confirm what's the status of the case of GTIN and SGTIN needs to be at Tatmin in the product display? In our case, the packs of GTINs are shown with the status of approved. However, our case, the GTIN as SGTIN are shown with the status of a blank. Should not that be getting a status of approval as well?
So what is the error the system is showing you? Because the system will send you an error code.
Yes, so you need to share with us the error. I believe maybe you can contact Cosmotrace and they can resort it out for you.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And there is one comment quickly on that is at this point, the companies are getting a lot of error messages, like error message 400, right? Error 600. Now there is no explanation behind those error messages, right? So customers don't know what does that mean, right? I think that is where possibly you can send us the information, or we can work with you in figuring it out and helping you progress further.
We have a few still questions, but I think we can proceed a bit with the presentation, and then at the end we will go with the different questions.
Okay.
Please.
So I think not much is left. I think we have spent a quite good amount of time on the most important slide.
Yeah.
So I just tried to put across, bucketize the events into 5 buckets, wherein you as a distributor, for MH, it is only one event, pushed one single event and the job is done. But as you see, most of the heavy lifting is done by the distributor. And it's up to the distributor whether he has to maintain an active supply chain flawlessly. So the 5 buckets under which you will be have to report at some point of time. Very first is the product transfer event. So under product transfer event, the first event could be shipping event. That means that anything that is you are sending out of your location. So if, say for example, if you have a warehouse in Abu Dhabi, so that warehouse will have a GLN. And if you're sending something out of that GLN to someone else, you have to file a shipping event. So that will come under the product transfer event. We'll go to Tatmin. Second would be receiving event. So anything that you are accepting a shipment to a target location. So you have a target location saying I have a warehouse in Sharjah and you're receiving some shipment there. So you will be filing a receiving event. Then there is something called return shipping. So return shipping is that it's like, someone you have sent the goods to a target location and that target location has rejected that, saying that I have not ordered it, I don't want it. So that goods will come back to you. So you have to file the return shipping event. There is another very complicated event which I think you guys would be, it could be a day in life or you must be facing at least once a week, something like that. So it's called return receiving event. So in what happens is when the goods are returned to the owner's initial location, that means you have a warehouse in Abu Dhabi and that goods have come back to you from the pharmacy, and then you reject those shipment and that shipment is again sent back to your pharmacy. Getting me? So you must have sent some goods to a target location. That target location has sent back the goods to you. So it becomes your original location, and then original location refuses, saying that I will not take the goods back, and you're sending it back to the target location. So this kind of activity that is happening on the goods has to be reported to Tatmin under the event name called return receiving event. So these are the 4 events which you would be doing daily, because you must be doing at least 50, 60, 100 invoicing a day. So you one or more than one events you would be reporting to Tatmin. Then other events would be like product shipping events. So there are things that is required when you are filing this product shipping event. That means you are selling the goods. So what you will be needing is your GLN, where the goods are starting from, GLN of the destination, target location where the good has to be landed, a reference document number. So this reference document number could be your what do you call material number, purchase order number, anything. You need to have a reference number that against this reference I am sending these goods from this location to that location, and all the serial numbers that you're sending. Say for example you are selling 10 packs, so you need to mention all the 10 serial numbers. So this one single file will become a product shipping event and you will report it to Tatmin. Same is with product receiving event. You must be receiving events from other manufacturer or other distributor somewhere. So GLN of the receiving location, reference document number, and the serial number that you are receiving. Then there is some exceptions which will happen and you will have to report, like something your QA would like to sample it, or the auditor may want to sample it. So all those serial numbers that are sampled, you have to change the status of that serial number as sample and report it. Even if it is a one single serial number, you have to prepare a report and submit to Tatmin. There would be some goods which gets damaged. Say for example, 5 bottles fall off the shelf and it gets damaged. So those serial numbers you have to convert the status from active to damaged and report those 5 serial numbers. And lastly, any product hierarchy update that happens. Say for example, you get aggregated goods, you disaggregate, again you reaggregate. So those hierarchy changes you have to report to Tatmin as a hierarchy update. So if I have to summarize, I mean, this is something which you should print it and put it on your workstation or wherever you can see it. That's it. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great. So
Yeah. So once you start doing serialization, this will be your day in life. So more than shipment transactions, you will have to take care of all the serialization transaction that is happening on your product. Yeah. So we can take questions, Dr. Mohan.
Sure. So next question is, after getting the import permit, who will have to upload in Tatmin? Can the distributor upload the permits in the behalf of the manufacturer?
So shipping import permit is not to be uploaded to Tatmin. Shipping import permit will be in the file of the event. Say for example, if your distributor is first submitting a report of serialization commissioning aggregation, so this event will have a reference to that particular shipping import permit. And once you get the goods, you will file a report of all those serial numbers called initial receipt of goods. This will also have a reference to the shipping import permit. So if you see the actual file in an EPCIS or .csv format, so there will be a place in the XML code, you will see the shipping import permit number written there. So the system is able to read the shipping import permit number and calculate the number of serial numbers that are there in the file, so that it doesn't go beyond the permit numbers. If your number permitted in any shipping import permit is only 20 and you're sending a serial number of 25, it will get rejected. So it's always linked to numbers. If you have a permit of importing only 50,000 numbers, then your file should not go beyond 50,000 serial numbers, because your permit has given you only 50,000.
Okay. We will go with the 2 more questions, and I think we will finalize for today. Hello, we are mostly importing for re-exporting. In case still we need to report to Tatmin in case of importing for re-exporting, we will not be use imported product instead of UAE. So they are not going to import to UAE. Do they need to register in Tatmin importing for exporting?
So if you it's all to do with the product entering Tatmin and how it is entering UAE and how it is moving. So first scenario, as I've explained earlier, if you are importing the product and it directly goes to free zone and from there it goes exports, then you need not report to Tatmin. But if it is coming to mainland, so it is entering the supply chain. So you have to follow all the reporting procedures. And from there, whether you export outside or you sell within UAE, doesn't matter.
Okay. When we are talking about import permits, we are referring to the final permit, not to the pre-approval, correct?
These are the, as far as I know.
Both should be in the same level, I guess.
Yeah.
Both pre-approval or import permits. You cannot do them unless you are getting the product inside the UAE, and you need Tatmin for that, of course.
Yeah.
So we will take this last question. I will appreciate if you can clarify the requirements in the following situation, please. We are a supply chain company, not a scientific office, storing in the free zone as a 3PL. Okay, so 3-party logistic. Our scope to import to free zone and re-export only. No distribution in UAE market at all. However, we purchase some items from UAE distributors who supply the goods to the free zone as well to re-export. I need to understand what we should do in case as we don't report any Tatmin activities. And is it a distributor responsibility to report that and that he is selling it to the free zone, or this entity as a free zone third logistic party has to register in Tatmin?
No, anything that is entering free zone is not to be reported, provided it is not being sold in UAE.
I believe, from my small experience, I believe he have to get his GLN.
The distributor will have to get the GLN because the goods are moving from outside.
But what
But
about the 3PL stores? They don't have a
3PL who is sitting in the free zone will not have any liability to report because
No,
he
they
is
will
not.
not report. They will not report, but
Yeah,
the system will show because, from my opinion, point of view, of course, you are the expert. But from my opinion, if I am a distributor and I have a product that is registered under Tatmin and I have a GLN, now in order to remove my product from my warehouse to give it to someone else, I have to report where it is going, no matter if it is for export
yeah,
or. So he have to have a GLN. So the distributor will say, we give it to X for exporting. And then he don't,
correct.
and then the free zone will not, he is not eligible or applicable to do reporting, but then it will show that these goods went for export.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So
I think
GLN
as
of
a
a sender
3PL,
and GLN of a destination is a must.
exactly. So I think you have to get your GLN only, but you don't have to report of me.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. We have a lot of questions, but this is the last question. We can see the quality of product uploaded against a particular lot in UAE in Tatmin portal or no?
No, Tatmin is all to do with securing the supply chain and tracking the product as it moves across the supply chain.
What will be the status of internal barcoding system? Will the distributor for chain pharmacies have to skip the internal barcoding then?
What does it mean by internal barcoding? Because on a pack, there can't be two barcodes. Otherwise, it would look too busy.
So as a big warehouse or a big chain, let's say, of pharmacies or a drugstore, they usually have an internal on the system, an internal barcode for their products before Tatmin occur. So he will know that these products went to store X and this product went to store B. So she is asking, Jauhar, I think he is asking if it will affect the distributor barcode, internal barcode or no?
I really don't have any answer, but I can give a wild guess if you like it. So this barcode, if you have a serialization system in place and you have an ERP in place, you can link this system with your ERP and tag it with the serial number. So whatever you wanted to do with your internal barcode, that tag it with the serial number and let ERP do the job. Otherwise, a lot of SOPs will change once the serialization starts.
I have a similar small experience on the same, Johar. I think you need to educate your system, to feed your system, that this barcode is for this Tatmin serialization. And then you use the barcode, the new barcodes of Tatmin and the track and trace as your internal as well. I think this will be better.
So Dr. Mona, I'll take one last question there. Very good question from Ansar, who says how Cosmo Trace can help us in Tatmin. So Ansar, to simply answer the question, like I said, we are the experts in this area. We are working with a few already customers in UAE in helping them with Tatmin. So think of us as your serialization team outside your office. Okay, so we will help you in 3 ways. Okay, the first way is if you are using ERP and you want your ERP to be connected and send the data through Tatmin, then we will work with you and the ERP provider to make that happen. If you're using a manual approach and you are a small company, you want to do a manual approach, your quantities are less, then we can help you to ensure that approach is followed. Right. The third approach is you want to have a standalone serialization system who can deliver what is needed for you well within your scope and budget. We can make that happen for you. So basically, think of us as ensuring that we are hand-holding the companies to go to the next line of reporting to Tatmin, irrespective of what option they take, with our skills and expertise. So I hope that answers your question. Anything, Javed, you want to add, or Shashank, you want to add as a closing about Cosmo Trace and how we can help?
Yeah, nothing. You summed up very well. But only thing is that, see, the serialization, when it started in US and Europe, there are a lot of catastrophes that happened around, throughput, errors, consignment not getting cleared. We realized that once you know the regulation well, and you can fit your supply chain SOPs around that regulation, then it would become very easy for you to use the system. And it takes time for any serialization system within the organization to mature. So you have to be very careful when you go live. So a lot of testing should be done before you start, entering into the actual production environment.
And again, SOPs also plays a very important role, like Javed said, to ensure that you have a SOPs with the new serialization regulation in place for your companies. So you can contact us or you can contact PRA. If you need any support, you can see our information here. Easiest way to contact would be dropping an email. So Javed was speaking for most of the time, so it is just javed@cosmotrace.com, as you can see it. And wherever you're stuck in your journey to be reporting and need help, we are there. We can have individual meetings with you and help you. If there are any meetings to be held face to face, then possibly we can do a few days next week again, but drop us a line, let us know what you need help with. And again, PRA is there, Dr. Mona is there, so you can come through that route as well. We were open to kind of have discussions with you. So before we wind up, I really want to thank the PRA team and Dr. Mona for organizing this and ensuring that we are able to kind of impart some knowledge on serialization and traceability and help you with your progress.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Mona.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Please,
Javed, if you can just remove unshare your screen if you don't mind, so the IT will close the session. Thank you very much again, and see you soon with new challenges in the market. I think the more that we get challenges in the market, the more things are being better and better. And I'm happy to assist and support anyone who needs any information. Please contact me or any one of my team members. And of course, you can go directly and contact Cosmotrace for any technical confirmation. We are more into regulatory. Thank you again, Javed. Thank you, Zishan, for joining today.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. And last piece of my experience is that please keep on talking internally to your colleagues, your peers, to PRA, to us, because it's a very challenging field and it's a mission critical. Even I took at least 2 years to learn about what serialization is. I started the journey in 2014. So it was really difficult, and it's still difficult for us because every country has got different regulations, and regulation keeps on evolving. Today, what you're seeing is one piece of Tatmin requirement, and as it matures, you will see multiple different requirements coming up, and would be more challenging. So please keep talking to each other, keep writing to us, to Dr. Mona. We all are there to help you guys.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for attending.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.